All right. Welcome to episode 8 of the Limitless Mindset podcast. I'm excited for this one today, honestly. So we have Kara Beecroft here today with us and Paige Hargis with us today. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
You guys know why I'm excited about this one today?
Yes, I feel like it.
Why am I excited for this?
It's just one of your topics that you've been driving into our head for the last few months.
I'm also excited because I didn't prep Paige at all for this one. I have a whole list of questions and she wanted to know what they were, and I didn't give them to her because she has to have every detail. So these are my favorite when she doesn't have details. And we just put her on the cuff. So
I'm just practicing
yeah.
on winging it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so today, this is a topic that I asked Kara and Paige to be on because this is something that I feel is extremely important when it comes to business, and especially as you look to scale, which both of these young ladies have within our brokerage this year, absolutely killing it. The top 2 performers so far, exponential growth. And with that, what would you guys say? You guys have seen some probably hardships in your businesses and struggles that come along with growing a business and scaling it. And what I think is really cool about this is that it doesn't tie to just real estate. This ties into really any avenue of business. And what it really comes down to, and what today's topic is going to be about with these ladies, is reinvesting in yourself and not being cheap when it comes to business. So we all probably know those people that get into business and the end goal is I want to save as much money as I possibly can, which makes total sense, right? I think when we go into high school and they don't teach you how money works, they don't teach you any of that stuff. That the traditional avenue of getting a job is you go get a job, you work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, you collect a paycheck, and there's never really any money that goes out of your pocket because you're just a hourly type employee, right? So you're not programmed to think about reinvesting in yourself. You're not programmed to, set aside a certain amount of money within your business and treat it like a business, even though we're in a service industry, to grow your business. And that was one thing that obviously I had to learn. It held me back for a really long time, and I've just gotten good at it through a lot of trial and error. And I've seen how well it's worked for me and other agents. You guys are both proof of that, which has been awesome this year to grow. But basically always carrying the mentality of how can I turn $1 into $3, $4, or $5, right? So it's not the mentality of how can I get $5, it's just how can I turn 1 into $5. If I got $1, how can I reinvest that into myself to grow that? And I treat it like a business. And so today, the goal for you guys and what I hope for is to listen to both of these young ladies, and they both got really cool stories and different experiences this year that's helped them get to the level that they have. And I can tell you it's because they reinvested in themselves. They've had to break through some limiting beliefs, which has been awesome. They both have had some struggles this year as the business have grown. We sat down and unfortunately solving some of those struggles took some financial investment. So we're going to talk about that today. And hopefully some of it resonates with you guys. So let's just get it started. Paige, you go first. Introduce who you are. Tell them who you are. For those of you guys that don't know, you guys have been following us, you probably do know who she is, but I'm going to let her run with it. Tell them who you are.
Yes. Okay. So Paige Hargis, obviously with Limitless Real Estate and on the Clark team, been in the industry for just coming up on 4 years. So just to jump in to what you said, I guess this year we've had several talks of there wasn't enough time in the day for me to keep pushing forward, and you just kind of reiterated why taking financial risk was important in this business. And, I kept saying, well, I don't know if I have the budget for it. And you're like, then you better make the budget. And the way that I think it kind of spun on me with what you said was, would you have more time if you spent money allowing someone else to jump in to help you? Would that give you a deal or two extra? And then would that cover the cost that you just paid for that assistance? And when I'm referring to that would be the buyer's agent that we talked about. Yep. I was really hesitant only because I'm so hands-on and I'm controlling with a lot of things, as you guys know. So to have someone else jump in and take care of my clients was, hard for me. But we discussed we can set rules and protocols and different factors that would allow it. So by me hiring someone else to take the duties, to show homes for me allowed me to be behind my computer and making more calls or dealing with other issues that were coming up and allowing me to be home with my kid more too. That was a huge thing. I was going to show homes when people were off of work and she was getting home from daycare and then I'd have to leave again. Yep. So that wasn't really working. But I think that truly helped me double my volume this year because I was able to get more deals with him out showing and me out showing at the same time, or vice versa,
Absolutely.
So I think that was one of the bigger financial risks that I took this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, so to tie into what Paige was saying, so, one thing that we'll just take the traditional real estate agent, I think, in this business model that I run into, it starts, I think, probably the first investment you're going to need to make into yourself. I guess the first two would be a brokerage. Obviously, that's always the number one thing I hear from people is, I want to go to the cheapest flat fee, which I completely understand that because I come from a flat fee business model, which worked for somebody like me, though, because I was reinvesting a crap ton of money in myself as far as generating my own leads, doing all that. I kind of treated it like a business, so I didn't need the overhead, so to say, of a brokerage because I kind of was my own mini brokerage when I had started my team. With that being said, I understood that not enough agents were in the position that I was because I'd run other businesses. So I was able to take when I needed to bootstrap my team at the time in my business. I had funds coming in. So we paid for traffic. We paid for all that, which is hard for an agent just getting started. They don't have the overhead capabilities to spend the amount of money that I was with my other businesses already up and running. So my goal was when we did it was to create a fair enough structure that works for agents to basically come in. And that's probably the number one objection I get is, well, this brokerage is cheaper, right, on some things, or this team's cheaper. And it always seems to be the theme of cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. And I never understood why, as a business owner, your thought is, I'm going to be cheaper, right? If you guys think about, for example, if you want to go start a franchise, right, what does it cost for a franchise investment, you guys think?
Like a startup one?
Yep. Let's say you want to go
30K?
start. What are you looking into what's that shake?
One stop.
One stop, yeah. Paige wants to start.
I'm pretty sure it's like $35,000 just to start out.
Just to start, you have an initial investment, right? So $35K, I know if it's like another restaurant or anything like that, it could be upwards of $200,000, $250,000 initial investment just to be an owner in that, right? Let's say you want to go start a freaking landscaping business. You got to buy your lawnmowers, you got to buy your truck, you got to buy your trailers, your leaf blowers. You got to spend all that money just to get up and get operating, right? May not be the nicest stuff, but at least you got to spend some money on that. Any business you want to start, really, you want to start an automotive repair shop, you got to go out and buy your tools. So every one of these businesses takes money up front. Nobody bats an eye when they think about that. And then when they get into real estate, I don't want to spend any money. I'm going to keep every single penny I friggin' have. And they never look at it like a business. And it's the one thing I think that helped me propel, because when I got my real estate license, the first thing I did with my first commission check was I wrapped my car. Started putting in my branding, did my signs, did all that. Didn't make a friggin' penny on it. I literally took all that money and reinvested it. And so that's one thing I always tell these guys is to get into your business and brand. And then, to Paige's point, when I talked about, she had that hard point of like, it's not that she didn't want to. I think it was probably, what would you say, just didn't necessarily understand the true value behind buying time back for yourself at that point. And that's one thing I had to work on it with. And so we looked at it as, okay, now if you take yourself out of the equation and look at yourself as a business and you make 100%, are you setting aside 30% to put back into your marketing and your expenses and your overhead? So you're keeping 70, but you're buying back basically 30% of your time to do more. A good example of that would be for me, for example, I run an e-commerce business. And when I started that e-commerce business, I did everything. Ran it out of my garage, was doing my packaging, was doing my marketing, was doing everything. I could turn around and hire somebody to package for me much less than what it cost me. I make per hour now. If you look at my total income, I would be losing money if I stayed back there and all I did was package all day. Like, that's not a highest and best use of my particular time in my business. Same thing with real estate with you guys. This is a talk I've had with both these young ladies is we, like Paige had just mentioned, we hired a buyer's agent. Kara was actually one of the first ones to jump on with that too. And that's actually why we hired, I think, a buyer's agent, was to help you at first because you had came in. And so basically they run out of time. They're moms, they got kids, other obligations, things they got going on right now. And so we needed to work on buying their time back. So I'll transition it over to you since you had started that. Tell them a little bit about you. I know you were on a previous episode, so they know you.
Yeah, Kara Beecroft with the Clark team, and I am coming up on 3 years now in the industry. And when I first got into real estate, just like most new business owners and people who get into real estate, I was balling on a budget, right? And really not balling because I was broke, right? And so when I first got started, I had a new listing, my very first listing. So excited, had no idea what I was doing, but I acted like I did. And I hired someone to put up my for sale sign, and I took my own listing photos. So
How did that go? How did you take those photos, by the way?
So I'm about 5'3". So I got a ladder and a camera, and I took all the angles of the house, inside and out. It looked like shit. And the market was not crazy hot back then, and so the
I feel
house.
like I need to look it up.
It's rough. It's rough. But my mindset when I first started was so ass backwards, and I didn't really understand the value of buying my time, reinvesting into myself and my business. And it took me, until I met you, and you kind of like pounded that in my head of what I need to do in order to scale my business. I really didn't understand what that meant of how much my time is worth and how I could utilize money as a tool to make more money. And I did that by putting in my own signs. Now I hammer them in and make a lot of noise, and the neighbors come out, and I talk to them, and I hire a photographer and a videographer every single month. I have a lot more monthly overhead, but the overhead that I'm paying per month into my business is helping my business scale just a little bit more every single month by doing that.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. I think the thing that misconception a lot of people have is when they have to spend money on themselves, they look at it as a waste. And for me, the money side of it and reinvesting in myself has put me into rooms with people that have opened opportunities up too. And I think that that's a big thing that people miss. People, again, I want to save as much as I possibly can. A couple of examples for me on the e-commerce side of things, when I was seeking out a mentor to teach me, chase this guy down for almost a year now to teach me how to do something. And that's a story for another day in depth. But long story short, I finally got in front of him, and the fee was $15,000, right? Which a lot of people think's crazy. And so I paid $15,000 to get in front of this guy, just to get in the room with him, because at the end of the day, I know I was here and he was here. And I think this is where a lot of people misunderstand, right? We get this all the time. You guys probably get it as agents that are doing a lot now. We get, tons of messages where people are asking, hey, I want to meet up for coffee. That's probably the most common. What else do you guys get, right? Can you give me tips and tricks and stuff like that? And what the people don't realize is that an hour of our time now crap. If you break it down, this is one thing I do with these guys a lot, is you take your total yearly salary that you basically make and you reverse engineer that based on the average amount of hours that you work, and that's your hourly wage, right? And so every time you're giving up an hour in exchange for something free for somebody that potentially may not do anything with that, you're wasting your freaking time. So for me, I'm big on offering to pay people for their time. I see the value in it because I know that they didn't get there by nothing. They didn't just fall in that area. If I need to learn something from those people, I'm going to spend a little bit of money to get in front of them. Number one, to show them that I value their time. But number two, because I know their time's valuable and they would have no benefit of meeting with me if I'm just eating that time up. So that was one example where I paid him $15,000. And to be honest with you, I can easily make that back in a day. I've done it multiple times in one day just by paying, where I think most people and a lot of my friends at the time that I was meeting with thought it was fucking nuts that I'd spend that kind of money. Can you guys imagine that right now? If an agent came to you and said, hey, because you guys, both of you young ladies are multiple six-figure earners a year now because of how big you guys have grown your business, right? So you both, I would say, have the blueprint right now for the most part. If you had a newer agent that wanted to come to you guys and say, hey, I want to kill it in real estate, how long is it going to take? What would you guys say, average time frame? 3 years, and you've been doing it about 4 years. Yours is a little bit different. I know the previous team you came on. Yeah. But 3 to 4 years it took you guys. You guys have propelled yourselves very quickly. So you guys have the blueprint now. You know what it takes to take it from 0 deals to 4 or 5 deals a month average every month pretty consistently. If you went to somebody and you told them, hey, give me $15,000 and I'll show you this, is it worth it? Now, would you say it's worth it? Do you see your value in that?
Yeah, absolutely.
How much have you guys invested in your business to get to that level? In mentorship, would you say?
Thousands and thousands and
right.
thousands and thousands.
So
over the years.
if a newer agent came to you guys and said, hey, teach me, and you're like, okay, give me $15,000, what do you think they would say?
They would probably look at us like we're crazy.
Right.
But that's because they don't understand. And even I think we had this conversation yesterday about taking on an assistant or bringing one on.
Yeah.
That every paycheck I get, I don't even see half of it because it's going back into my business. People are like, oh, you made this much money this year. And I'm like, I don't even have I'm low in my bank account because I'm just turning it around and reinvesting. Yeah, when we get those checks in, it's like, okay, this cut is going to pay the bills that are due this month. This one's about to invest. Yeah. Because I'm just turning it around to make more money, and that's the point. And whether, that's outside of real estate because it's stocks or elsewhere, but that's still a portion. A portion's to marketing content, video content, lifestyle shots, because that's building your brand and your name.
Because it's going to grow. And I think a lot of newer agents don't realize that. If you get into real estate and you have a long-term goal to be in the industry and make a career out of it, you need to have the mindset up front that it's going to take probably 3 to 5 years of just constant growth and reinvesting back into your business in order for your business to get on autopilot. And like Paige says, I mean, every single month, you may do the calculations on what I make on, all my escrows every single month, but my bank account says otherwise because that money is being reinvested back into my business each month so I can continue for it to grow and grow and grow.
Yep. On a smaller level of the mentorship, and the reason I asked that question is you guys obviously see the value in it now. You see now that well, number one, I would say both you guys, just because I know you guys very personally. I saw the struggles you guys went through this year as you guys have continued to level up and you ran out of time and how quality of life deteriorated. And now you've had to turn around and pivot and spend more money in your business, which we've all been there. I've been there many times myself. You guys now see the value of that. When I mentioned, hey, if you told somebody $15,000, would you feel like that's a fair price? And we're just throwing a rough number out there to paint the picture for the situation that we run into with a lot of new agents right now that huff and puff about having to pay for mentorship or coaching or any of that kind of stuff. And now you guys see it, right? So here's the thing. You guys pay the mentorship in the form of splits on a team, right? Which you guys have a cap. So how fast did you guys ramp up, right, on a split, which most agents have opportunities for splits, really with a lot of brokerages. There's a ton of different brokerages you guys can go into, but I see people, and I see this a lot because we obviously come from flat fee background, very different environment than what we're in right now that didn't provide a whole lot of what we have. What's your guys' thoughts on that? You guys get a lot of new agents that come in and like, oh, I don't want to spend that. I don't want to invest it. Like, what's your guys' now that you guys are on the other side of the coin, 3 years in, you guys started here, you guys are here. What's your thoughts when you guys hear that on when you hear new agents say that? What would be your advice to them?
Well, I think the point is that usually as a new agent, you're immediately reaching out to someone who is experienced because you want to learn, you want to listen. And so if they are educating you to don't be afraid to hire a TC to take this off your plate, they're telling you that for a reason. And that's because we have gone through, maybe I didn't hire for 4 transactions and it was chaotic and I've learned my lesson. So I'm trying to help you skip that step. So I get $300 seems like a lot for a transaction, but what else could you be doing during that time instead of trying to catch up on paperwork, file it on your computer, send out emails, DocuSign, like a whole list of things you could be doing instead. You want to jump in and get your marketing started, that gives you time to go get your photos done or meet with someone about it. So I think it's the newer agents need to listen if they want to speak to an experienced agent. Just kind of take that advice or ask questions if you don't understand why it's important.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, it all comes down to breaking down your 24 hours, right? And when you're a new agent, like I said, you're usually balling on a budget, right? And so any amount of money is a lot of money, but if you break down where your time is spent and where it could be better spent to help your business grow and prospect and get new clients, it's worth it to invest the money up front.
Yep. I think to piggyback on that too, though, when we say go out and find a good mentor, make sure you guys are finding people who know what the fuck they're talking about. By the way, I just want to throw that out there because I think that in this business, and honestly any business, right, I can tell you this is going to translate very well into any company that you may not even be in the real estate field if you're listening in this. You could be in finance, you may be in whatever, landscaping, plumbing, painting, it doesn't matter. Find somebody that knows what the fuck they're talking about and actually just pay very close attention. I would say that. I would say Paige probably, you were on a team before, agent did really good. Team lead was a rock star, right? What was one handicap you filled? Because I remember when you came to me, what was one thing that, because this would be a good example of that. They did phenomenal, like really good agent. I remember that was like a team lead. What was the one thing when you came to me though that was missing from that piece of the puzzle that was kind of holding you back that now you're like, boom, I took off like crazy?
I don't know if it was one piece, but I remember coming to you and saying that I want to be more confident and more independent. I don't want to depend on someone else for my leads, for my resources. I want to figure out, how do I generate my own business? And that, for me personally, that was, social media was something I enjoyed, and I wanted to learn from you, like, how do I delegate this and bloom? I was just kind of stuck, and I knew that I was so early on that I needed to get a jump on. I need to grow quickly, but I also need to grow the right way and learn and take time to understand everything. So I think that it was just kind of taking that next step.
Yeah, basically have them teach you how to run your own business, how to be yourself, how to generate your own business, how to only basically to replicate their business. And that's the one thing that's weird on mentorship. It seems like some mentors I know are absolutely open about that stuff. Like me, I'm an open book. I don't really care. Nothing anybody does or tries to copy me on is not going to affect me anyway, because I'm me, and they should just take what I do and run with it. I mean, you guys are both proof of that, plus everybody else that's here in our brokerage. You know, there's no curtains here. Everything's open. Everybody learns. We all share with each other. Nothing that I do, I don't disclose to other people in my business. It's all the same shit. You know, we just all implement it, I think, very well. So that would probably be something, you know, if you guys are going out there, just find good mentors, find good team leads, find people that are very personable, very hands-on with you. That's the other side of that, is just make sure that they got time for you to really coach you and answer your questions. And, you know, as far as real estate goes, I'll get real singular with this for those of you guys that are listening to us that are in the real estate business. There's no secret tips or tricks. Like, contrary to what they believe, there's no magic tool. There's no secret society of us agents that have this, like, secret piece of knowledge. It's just putting in the damn work, in my opinion, you know. But also, I think that what makes both of these young ladies successful is everybody else that I coach that puts in the work is we teach them how to be well-rounded business owners, right? It goes right back into what we're talking about today with reinvesting and putting money back in yourself. I can teach anybody how to run a transaction, as these ladies can. It's, can you figure out how to scale that business and grow it and have a quality of life that makes sense and increase your income by giving up a little bit of income on there, you know? And like I said, it puts you in rooms with better people. That's the thing for me is as I've reinvested, you know, and a great example I just did this year was when we opened our brokerage. You know, I took a step back. That was, you know, my income, for example, last year as a agent operating under a different brokerage, I didn't have nearly as much overhead as a brokerage, right? So when I started this year, guess what? I needed to learn. So I went out and found a mentor, which, by the way, shout out to Brian North for helping me out, because that guy is a rock star. He probably would have done it for free. Like, honestly, he's that good of a guy to me. I obviously paid him for that because I value his time. But he, you know, a great example of that is we had two choices in this, right? What was it? Like, we could just figure this shit out on our own, which I think would have probably been pretty sloppy because I never ran a brokerage before, you know. Still a little sloppy here and there. We're getting there. But, you know, I went to him and just said, dude, teach me all the lessons that you learned, you know, and you know, I asked him a question, you know, if you had to do it all over again, what would you have done differently? And he gave me a couple key pieces of advice that he, looking back on his 7 years of doing it so far as a brokerage owner, he's like, I really screwed up on this, do this, and I'm already doing very well because of that singular piece of advice. That small, I'll say it's small. I mean, it wasn't a cheap amount, but in my mind, it's small for the knowledge that I would just basically just saved myself 7 years of education. I got fast-tracked to get right to where I want by compensating him for his time, where I feel like most people would bitch and moan about that. Like, oh, you're not just going to give me the information for free. I look at that as an investment. That's me paying for a fast pass to success ultimately, which goes into reinvesting, you know, into yourself and paying for your business, you know, and it's, I just gravitate towards people like that too. Have you guys ever been to dinner and you got that person that, like, you go out with your friends and they're like, get the tab out and they're like fucking divvying the shit up and everything, and you owe me this and this and this and stuff. You know, like, are those people I'm going to go into business with? Probably not. I'm going to be honest with you. Because my mind goes to, if I hang out with you and then a business opportunity comes up, are you going to nickel and dime every fucking opportunity in that business? You know, for me personally, where when I go to dinner, I just grab the tab, right? It's not a big thing. You could get it next time or whatever. I don't really think about that little stuff because it's an investment with my friends and hanging out or business people and just learning and stuff like that. I'm not going to go back to them and say, hey, pay me for this little thing. Because that's the precedent. I don't want them to set that precedence, right? Like, if an opportunity presents itself, I don't ever want them to think like, oh, he's cheap, he's going to be a pain in the ass, he's not going to be willing to go in on a risk or an investment. And that's a little off track on the side, but that's just something that comes to mind, you know, when I see people do this stuff. So,
well, and I think it kind of ties into having that abundance mindset, right? If you're going to reinvest in your business, you need to have that mindset that your business is going to grow. And you need to have that faith in yourself and your business that you're going to get it to grow by reinvesting.
People spend fucking $80, $90, $100,000 on college degrees with no guarantee every fucking day.
I did go.
Right, I
did
too.
spend that money.
I did too, 100%. But what's crazy is this day and age, right? Like I look at, if I had to do it all over again, it's tough. This is something I always battle with because I think that our world is always evolving and changing. A degree, I think, like I have a degree in business, and while there's a lot of things that I learned from now, like for example, if I had a degree in marketing, the fundamentals would be the same, but how much fucking different is marketing now compared to what it was? It just changes so fast. Like how fast are we changing marketing up and like, oh, there's a new trend and some shit we're good
There's
at.
a new platform every month.
You're saying they didn't
I spent
teach
100.
you how to dance on TikTok?
Yeah. I'm still not good at it. So they, I mean, you it's always been such a traditional thing, right? You invest in yourself through a college degree. Nobody questions that shit. And then when it comes time to investing in your business or going to pay a mentor or, hey, it's 20, 30 grand and people like think it's like this most outrageous fucking thing. It's crazy to me, that people just, they have such a poor relationship with money. Like what Kara said, if you have a scarcity mindset, you're going to get it back. If you go into business thinking you're always going to win and you're never going to lose $1, you're fucked. That's it. I don't care what anybody says. Every successful person I know in business everybody has an arrow in their back, a bad story about business, a business that's failed. I've had multiple businesses fail, and I've had multiple of them win. But if you go into every one of them scared that you're going to lose money or scared that it's going to fail, you're fucking yourself, in my opinion. So I got some fun questions I want to ask you, ladies. We're gonna sidetrack this a little bit. So, what's one thing that people misunderstand the most about you? And neither one of you guys can answer that first.
Oh, that's tough.
That's tough.
I know you guys.
You
both
probably should have let us prepare
No
because
way.
now
No, like I said, I love it. Yeah. I know you guys both very personally.
I'll go first. I think people have this perception of me that like I don't struggle. Like in my day-to-day, whether that's my mindset, I get a lot of people that reach out to me and they're like, you're just so uplifting, you're so positive, and even though I try to have that, outlook on life, there's day-to-days where I struggle, within my business or, just balancing work life. And, it's a daily thing for me to try to make sure that I'm like keeping my mindset in that growth mindset and staying positive. So I think a lot of people, look at us on social media and they're like, oh my gosh, she's kicking ass. She's doing so good. Life must be so great. Making money, closing deals. Yeah, life's good, but it's a daily battle for me to, stay on top of my mindset.
Yep. You got one yet?
I mean, it's really no different because I think that's honestly like for most people is that they just look at us through social media if they don't personally know us, but I feel like we both have done a good job of being raw and real about, and then sometimes I hesitate to even post stuff on social media because they're like, oh, well, she's not the person I thought she was, or they just don't realize all the struggles. And I mean, I think I even talked about postpartum depression, like different things, and trying to get people to understand that like when I'm sad, it's not sad, it's like a depression level that I've told people I'm getting help for or different things. So I think it's just truly that misconception that you're looking at our social media and you're just seeing a quick glimpse, but we also try to explain different things that we're going through in our posts and our stories. So, I mean, I think that's truly just that.
Yeah, you've gotten a little more raw on your stuff, which is good. Paige and I talked about that this year.
You helped me step out.
Yeah,
that was after I had set, and I remember you said, just be you, because I was like, I'm struggling hard.
Well, I know you worry too about like, I wouldn't say burning bridges. I think probably Paige was more of like she attaches to like good relationships and past friendships, which I think all of us do. I've just gotten to the point where I don't even fucking care. I know my value. So
you've definitely been helping with that.
I am big on, you just get to the point where you know your value and you give your shirt off the back to anybody. And if you just don't get that, and reciprocity from that, like it just doesn't make sense. And so I know with Paige, I told her just fuck them. That's it. Like, you're going to be really unhappy trying to make everybody else happy. And the person that needs to be happy first is you. And then everything else falls in line. And the people that are meant to be around you will be around you and gravitate towards you. And especially in this business, you will never make everybody happy 100%. And that goes really for anything. So, yeah, you guys are both crushing it with that. Biggest accomplishment for 2021 so far as we wrap up the year?
I feel like if I say mine, people are going to judge me for that.
Whatever. Here we go. See?
I know. I'm second guessing it. But truly, okay, I have wanted to sell $1 million house, and I did it.
Yeah,
and that was a huge accomplishment for me because I was so close the year before, and it just slipped through my fingers, and I was like, I'm not letting that happen this year. And I did it. And I don't know why it sounds cheesy to say it, but
No, it
was
doesn't.
an accomplishment.
No, yeah, it was awesome. What about you?
I feel like I finally put processes in place to help my business almost be like on autopilot. So, TC, buyer's agent, marketing people, just assistant. So I've really this year was about hiring people in place in my business to kind of help it be sustainable.
I want you guys to hear that. She said TC, buyer's agent, marketing person, and now a personal assistant.
What about the latest personal assistant?
And now a personal assistant. So,
and then another business on the side.
Kara has pretty much
a lot of
4, and Paige too. Paige uses all the same tools and resources as well now. So if you guys listen to both these ladies, yes, they are doing a lot of volume and sales, but they have many businesses within their business. They are no longer the only business. They built their business and their service out to be business based. So I want you guys to listen to that. That's why they're here, because that was the hard part this year. Is what comes with what was your guys' fear? Obviously hiring. So you just said you got four or five people on payroll. You got 4 or 5 people on payroll in your business.
It's expensive as fuck.
Okay.
Like I'm not going to be able to pay for it.
Right. Yeah. You're putting the faith in yourself that you're going to be able to maintain those obligations, and it's scary.
Yeah, that's how I feel times 20 people.
I know you're still at a higher level. Yeah.
I get it 100%, but that's why I'm most proud of you guys. So, what have you guys done with your time now? How's your business gone that you guys have hired these 4 people that we brought those up? What does your day look like now?
It's freed up a lot of time, and not only that, it's provided a lot of consistency.
Where's your time and energy focused most now that you've hired these people?
Prospecting, building new relationships.
Being a rainmaker, love it. You?
Yeah, it's focusing on what's coming next, but also my happiness, because personally it's allowed me to do more things that I was saying no to before.
Yep. Blake, I'm stuck behind a computer doing all this fucking paperwork all day.
Yeah.
Biggest challenge you're facing right now? Can't be that big of a challenge. You can't think of it.
Or maybe there's multiple.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mine's growth. Mine's still growth. We're just growing like crazy right now. It's been good. I'm same as you guys. Honestly, same thing. Just a little larger of a scale. Obviously, I got more people. I carry responsibility for. And as crazy as it sounds, as much as you guys are contract employees per se, you're not I carry so much personal responsibility for every agent that comes in this brokerage that I take it so personal, and they don't do well, that it stresses me the hell out. So I go above and beyond to make sure, and definitely just put in so much time and energy into it. So as we bring more people on, the stress level goes a smidge bit higher for me to make sure accountability's there for all of them, that they're all doing well. And I take a lot of stuff personal. So that's my struggle I'm working through right now, is responsibly growing and also hiring staff as needed to make sure enough people are available. Because my biggest thing in this business is I can't ever take myself away from everybody in a way, because I think that's my value, right? Is just how me being available to help them out. I'm not really any good if I just sit at the top of this totem pole and never talk to anybody. I don't even want that. It sounds like a horrible business plan. While some love it, I don't. And so for me, it's always been, okay, what can I put off of my plate to free up more time to not only service my clients, but service my agents? So I've learned to hire out some of the tasks that I just really don't need to do. And so really it's breaking down my day, like what you talked about, 24 hours in a day. What can I get rid of to buy myself an hour or two back to give back to my agents and my clients that I can hand off? So that's been mine this year. It's been a growing phase for sure.
I don't know if this counts as a challenge, but mine's what's next? I'm struggling with what's next for me, because I feel I did hit all of my goals this year, and now I don't want to plateau. I don't want to keep doing the same thing. My challenge is what's next? What's going to work for me? And we've talked about this. And I'm do I jump into wholesaling? Do I switch my mindset somewhere else? And that's a challenge, because I feel there's so many things out there that I want to explore and continue on within the real estate industry, but I just got to pick one to focus on. So I'm struggling right now with that.
Yeah, so I would say mine's pretty similar to that of what is next year going to bring, and there's some other things that I want to dabble into and learn, and so I feel like next year is going to be a really big learning curve for me.
Am I hearing you guys don't want to just stay a realtor and sell real estate until you're 80 from both of you? Is that what I'm hearing from you guys? You guys want to try different things?
Yes,
Oh,
I do.
Man. All right, cool. One lesson you both have learned that you think everyone should learn at one point in time?
Take the risk. I mean, that's just, if you are a business owner, you better be very comfortable with taking risk, in my opinion.
I think they need to learn how to self-critique, because you have to sit down and evaluate where you're at and where your business is. If you're hearing in your head, like, I'm not hitting my goals, why are you not hitting your goals? Is that because you're not taking the risk? Are you not willing to do that?
That brutal self-awareness.
Yeah, you really do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
huge.
Self-awareness is something that's so critical and not a lot of people have.
I mean, and I'm such a visual person, so I've even had to sit down and I'm like, where am I struggling? Where am I excelling? Why am I not where I want to be?
Yep. Absolutely. When it comes to investing in yourself, what's something you guys are still struggling with?
Just hitting us hard with these questions.
I feel like we've both done a lot of investing within ourselves and our business this year.
That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt every time. Like when we talked about the assistant, I was just like, oh, another check going out.
Yeah.
And it's still scary to me because I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to figure out how I'm going to pay for all of this.
Yeah. So it's true. I mean, it's a little scary, making that commitment, but having that faith in yourself, that
it's
you're
our
gonna make it
business.
work.
We're not working for someone else a 9 to 5.
Got it.
We are running this, and it's our job to figure it out.
It's only us to blame if it doesn't work out. So no pressure.
The biggest thing to think about in this business is what I always get is, I think I get it from both of you guys still. Yeah, I do actually, because I know we just had this conversation, is I don't have shit in the pipeline this month. What am I going to do?
I said this yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
But then,
We literally had that conversation.
actually, and I'll use you guys both as an example. Like, remember, what were October stats, right?
We both had a bad month.
For whatever reason, I fucking killed it October. I don't know. That was like the opposite for me.
Yes, you did.
But then November.
What happened? Right? You guys knocked it out of the park. So this is where, as business owners, you guys need to not pay as much attention to like a month by month basis. You got to keep your eye on the end of the year, right? So what it comes down to is how much money am I making at the end of the year, and then divvy that up and say, how much did I reinvest, right? If I'm paying this person this much, this person this much, and then that's what you really got to look at, because it's hard to forecast, right? To give you guys an example, like on me with like forecasting business, like, okay, we're going to invest this. Some of the investment that we make, we may not see an ROI on. I know you're seeing that right now with one we are potentially going into with some advertising stuff that may not generate an ROI for
But I'm seeing the checks go out every month.
3 to 4 months, right? And that's just having the faith that it will come back. But that's also having the ability to say, okay, this was my total profitability for the year, and this is how much of it I got to keep. And it's really hard when you look at it on a month-to-month basis, because your month-to-month variables as a business owner are going to change so much, right? If you have to buy extra advertising, extra equipment for your business, extra whatever, signs, lock boxes, e-keys, or if you're another business owner, I got to up the rent, I got to buy new equipment for my business, whatever that looks like. It's really hard when you're paying attention, because guess what? There's going to be months where you may even be negative, as crazy as that sounds. But there's also going to be months where you are extremely profitable. So as a business owner, you have to have the ability to say, okay, this is my total income for the year. Okay, shit, I had a bad month. That's okay. Keep moving. Keep pouring. That's where people give up. I always laugh at like the inconsistency with this stuff is they have a shit month and they stop everything, stop spending. I'm done.
Stop marketing.
Stop marketing.
We can't anymore because it's all there. It's all on.
And what have I done for you guys to make sure that you stay consistent? I put you guys on that like I would say it's required. If you're gonna do this, you have to stick with it.
Yeah.
Can't let off the gas.
I know, and there's been, that was my biggest I remember saying to you, I'm bringing on this buyer's agent, but what if he's not showing any houses and I'm doing it, or I have nothing to show? And I mean, that happened. There were times you were like, you're either all in or you're out.
All in or you're not. Which it does. It helps because then it forces us to just be committed from the get-go and not second guess ourselves, you know?
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
I mean, we're both working towards creating the life that we want. And so adding people into our business is helping us get there too.
I love the relationship with money you guys have now, because you guys are just kind of getting it, which is cool. You're not so attached to it anymore. You just look at it as a tool, which I think most business owners need to. If you have a piss poor relationship with money and you have a scarcity mindset with it, you're gonna have a very hard time growing business. That's one thing that took me forever to learn. But you guys are looking at it as a tool now. Okay, if I can make this much and buy this much of my time back, now I have this time to go do this to make more of it. So this amount of time may have cost me $10 an hour, but now I have the ability to go make $30 an hour with this $10 an hour, if you guys think of it from that mindset. So luckily you guys have both done very well and your results are showing. I mean, this has been a phenomenal year for both of you guys. So proud of you guys. So that's all I have. Any more thoughts you guys want to put out there before we wrap it up? Any advice you guys want to leave somebody with that's listening on this?
What was the biggest mistake you made your first year in business?
Biggest mistake, probably selling my value too short. I did shit way too cheap. I would say my first year, I just didn't, and I don't even know if I would have necessarily changed that. I'm actually kind of glad I went through that mistake, because it's been the same thing for, like I get agents all the time that call me and ask about our brokerage, and we just say, here's what it is and here's what our fees are, and they constantly say no, and guess what? 6 months down the road, they're in the same spot and we're still growing, because I know what I put into people. I know the time I invest. I know how much I set aside from my business, even my personal business, to reinvest into what we have, and we're not some massive company. I mean, that's the thing. We're still small. We're not, one of these big brokerages with multiple locations. I kind of love that side of it, because we have the ability to do our culture, and I don't feel lost. I don't feel like a number, which ironically is the number one thing that a lot of people come to us for. And that's the one thing that, like I said, I didn't see the value in for the long time. I almost thought that was like a disadvantage for me, is like, we're not some big place. And it's funny though, because you look at our numbers and you look at our stats, and ultimately you look at our level of happiness, like mine too. I really enjoy the people I work with. I think if I walk into some massive buildings, I come from that corporate environment. Both of you guys have probably had some big corporate environment. Yeah, it's cool. You got some massive building you walk into, but what good is that if nobody friggin' knows you? It's like trying to turn the Titanic anytime you want to make a decision.
Or everyone's miserable.
The upper level, everybody's fucking miserable. So
no one wants to be there.
It's so disconnected, right? Where here, that was probably my weakest thing, was like, oh man, I'm not in this big company, I'm not this, and now my mindset's completely shifted. It's just, I see my value so much higher with it now, and I see your guys' value, and I see what we do and the level of service we provide, the quality. I love how fast we can make decisions and shift and turn, where like with a big corporation, the downside of that is the decision makers are so high up, and this goes for real estate too, some of these bigger brokerages, the people that are on the front lines, that are in their trenches, putting in the work, they're face to face with customers, they know what's going on, they know changes that need to be made. By the time that information gets to the top, it's like 6 months down, it's just too late. Like we're here, we change and pivot so fast, like that I have so much faith in what we do here. If we're like, hey guys, this just isn't working, let's do something different. And it's just worked out really well for us. I mean, we're small, but we kill it.
I think that goes hand in hand. Like you see the value in yourself, which is probably why you don't have a hard time reinvesting into yourself and your business, right? Like once you see your worth and your value, then it's so easy to execute on those opportunities.
Yeah, I trust myself a lot. I trust myself more than anybody, which is good. Yep, cool. Well, thank you, ladies, for coming on today. I appreciate you guys both. And hopefully that brought some value for you guys today. The only thing I ask is if this was valuable to you guys, just like it, comment, share it. Feel free to share it with any of your guys' friends. Drop us a review. That's a big one too. And honestly, we're reading all of it. I'm paying attention to all of it. If you guys leave a review, I'm reading it. If it sucks, don't leave me a negative review. I'm just kidding. But really, honestly, if this has been helpful to you guys, that's all we ask. That's the only cost that we put out there, is that you guys do share with other people that would find some value in this. So as always, guys, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.